At exactly 4 a.m. on August 16, 2025, an extraordinary event shook Burkina Faso and the world. A massive convoy of 57 trucks loaded with weapons and ammunition was intercepted near the Togo border. It was the largest arms seizure in the nations. History and what it revealed went far beyond smuggling. The bust began almost by accident, when Border Commander Captain Moussa Kabore noticed something unusual during a midnight patrol in the Canary region, a long convoy creeping along back roads. In silence, humanitarian aid, the papers claimed. But who delivers aid in the dead of night on hidden routes? Kabore quickly informed senior officials, and President Ibrahim Traoré acted without hesitation. He contacted Special Forces Commander General Ibrahim Zerbo with a clear order: intercept the convoy, but proceed carefully. Something about this operation felt bigger than smuggling. Special forces moved swiftly, using drones and helicopters to track the truck's movements. Just before dawn, the road was blocked and the ambush set within minutes. The convoy was surrounded and the drivers captured when soldiers opened the first truck. They were stunned. Beneath sacks of grain and aid boxes lay assault rifles, rocket launchers, grenades, and missiles, a full military arsenal disguised as charity supplies, and every truck was the same. Captain Kabore reported directly to the president saying, "Mr. President, this is enough firepower to arm an entire army." The seizure was staggering, with 25,000 AK-47s, 1,000 M16s, 13 million rounds of ammunition, 7,000 grenades, 2,500 rocket launchers, 400 anti-aircraft missiles, and 50 tons of explosives. The estimated value was over $700 million. Defense Minister General Sadu was blunt with this firepower. "You could invade a country," Interior Minister Hussein Traoré added. "If these weapons had reached the wrong hands, Burkina Faso would be in flames." The drivers were interrogated. Most claimed ignorance. They were told they were transporting agricultural machinery, but one named Marc-Antoine Zongo cracked and revealed the cargo was bound for warehouses in Ouagadougou before being shipped overseas. Intelligence officers noticed another detail: the trucks had been dispatched separately on different routes, only joining up before the border. This level of planning pointed to something far larger. Forensic teams recovered serial numbers, some filed off but still traceable. The trail was shocking: weapons from the Libyan civil war, others from Yemen, and some brand new from European factories. This was no random arms deal. It was a multinational operation. By day, 2 raids across the capital exposed warehouses stacked with hidden weapons. Among the arrested were former ministers, retired generals, wealthy businessmen, and even foreign diplomats. Their common link was open opposition to President Traoré. On the 4th day, a confession shattered any remaining doubts. Businessman Francois Bongo admitted under interrogation this was not just smuggling. It was the beginning of a coup code named Operation Restore Democracy. The plan was chilling, stage terrorist attacks to spark panic, mobilize opposition groups in the chaos, then, with help from traitors inside the army, overthrow the government. The budget was over $1 billion, and the 57 trucks were only phase 1 when asked who was behind it. Bongo hesitated, then revealed names and locations: meetings in Accra, coordination from Abidjan, instructions from Paris, approval from Washington. It was a geopolitical plot to topple Traoré and install a pro-Western puppet government. Realizing the scale of the conspiracy, Traoré addressed the nation in a historic press conference. Behind him stood towers of seized weapons. "My fellow Burkinabe, this was not smuggling. This was an attempt to plunge our nation into war. But we are not asleep. We stopped them in time." He displayed documents and confessions. Journalists pressed him for names and countries, but he answered cautiously. "The investigation continues. What is certain is this: foreign powers still think they can control Africa. They are wrong." The people responded with fury and pride. In Ouagadougou, crowds gathered to celebrate the government's stand when Traoré ordered Operation Storm. Security forces raided 23 more locations, seizing hidden stockpiles and arresting more conspirators. Among the detainees were foreign nationals: French, British, American, Israeli, all carrying diplomatic passports. Their arrests triggered a global diplomatic Storm Western governments demanded their release. Traoré refused, saying, "Diplomatic passports are not licenses to commit crimes." Western capitals threatened sanctions, but others rallied to Burkina Faso's side. Russia declared Traoré had the right. To defend his country, China offered security aid, Turkey, Iran, and Venezuela praised the crackdown, calling it a stand against imperialism. The case exploded onto the world stage. Burkina Faso was no longer just fighting smugglers, but exposing an international conspiracy on August 17th, before thousands in Independence Square. Traoré delivered another historic speech behind him. Piles of seized rifles and rockets were displayed. "They wanted to use these weapons to divide us," he said, "but instead, we will transform them into tools of life in front of the crowd." A rifle was melted and forged into a school bell. Traoré lifted it and declared, "Every morning when our children hear this bell, they will hear the sound of peace." The square erupted. In cheers, chants, and tears, investigations went deeper. Data from seized laptops and phones revealed the plot extended beyond Burkina Faso. Similar plans targeted Mali, Niger, and Guinea. The goal was regional destabilization, replacing independent leaders with compliant regimes. The financing trail stretched across Europe, and the Gulf Interpol joined the hunt, issuing warrants and freezing assets. What began as a convoy bust had become the unraveling of a global arms for power network. By August 18th, the government announced the fate of the weapons. Some would be melted down with proceeds funding schools, clinics, and irrigation projects. Others would modernize the army. The rest would be destroyed. More than weapons, the seizure became a symbol, Africa refusing to be a pawn. As Traoré declared, "We are the grandchildren of Thomas Sankara. We will not kneel to anyone." Africa will write its own future from that day forward. August 16 was declared National Awakening, and Victory Day schools would teach the story, passing its lessons to future generations: courage, vigilance, and unity. This was no ordinary police operation. It was a turning point. 57 trucks, 700 million in weapons, and a $1 billion conspiracy had been stopped before. It could set Burkina Faso on fire, but more than that, the moment became a rallying cry for a continent long targeted by foreign interference. Burkina Faso had not only defended its sovereignty, it had transformed the weapons of death into symbols of hope. President Traoré closed with words that echoed far beyond Ouagadougou. Africa will no longer be a dumping ground for weapons. Africa will be a land of peace, freedom, and dignity. They tried to break us, but instead, they awakened us. And so, what began as the interception of a mysterious convoy became the story of an entire nation and an entire continent standing tall.